India in the state legislature, you know that in certain states it's bicameral and in some states it's unicameral. Almost in 5 states there's bicameral legislature where there is a legislative assembly and legislative council. And the powers are not co-equally divided. The legislative council is almost powerless as compared to the legislative assembly. So there are arguments for abolition of the legislative council. At the same time, few political thinkers also argue that the state legislature must not be abolished. Today in this clip we will analyze both arguments, the arguments which are in favor of abolition and the arguments which are against abolition. At the end we will try to conclude something. First, let's see the arguments in favor of abolition. The first argument in favor of abolition is that the state legislative council does not enjoy effective powers. Since the actual legislative power vested in legislative assembly, not in the legislative council, the legislative council cannot make, or they don't have the positive powers in legislation. So the people argue that this legislative council should be abolished, and it's believed that it's tended to be stronghold of vested interest, because certain people because of their vested interest delay the legislation process using the platform of legislative council. Since the legislative council can delay an ordinary bill for 4 months and a money bill for 14 days, so sometimes people exploit that, and because of their vested interest they use that platform to delay the bills. So in this way it become a barrier in legislation. So the people argue that this should be abolished, and since it has no positive powers in legislation and it is the stronghold of vested interest, it's just a burden on financial exchequer. So that's why the people argue that it should be abolished. And it's also believed that it provides refuge to the members who are defeated at polls. Usually the members who go for election and lost elections for the legislative assembly are nominated by the governor in legislative council, which is against the democratic spirit, that if somebody don't have the trust of electorate should not be allowed to represent electorate. And it happens on number of occasions that certain people lost elections for the legislative assembly, but they are nominated through governor, or the governor nominated them in legislative council, which is against the democratic spirits. So these are the arguments in favor of abolition of the legislative council. That it does not enjoy effective power, it tended to be the stronghold of vested interest, and it's a burden on financial exchequer, and it provides refuge for the members defeated at the polls. Now let's see some arguments against the abolition. It's believed that it's a useful check on the popular house and checked hasted legislature or hasted legislature, since they can delay the bill for an ordinary bill for 4 months and a money bill for 14 days. So it checked, or it thwarted the hasted legislation and gives some more time to think again on the legislation. And this provide a platform to minorities and professions. Different professionals are given representation in the legislative council. As you know that 1/12 of the legislative council came from the university graduates of state, and 1/12 are elected by the teachers, and the 1/12 are nominated by the governor who have expertise in different fields. So it gives an effective platform for different professions, and it also gives an effective platform for minorities. Though the body itself have no effective role in legislation, still it provides some sort of platform to minorities and professionals, which is in true spirit of democracy. So The people on the basis of this point argue that this state legislation, or sorry, the state legislative council must not be abolished. And this as legislative council provide an or they made available to the services of experienced persons to the state, because there are because so many experienced persons who have got lot of expertise in different fields like in commerce, in arts, in science, feel hesitation to go for regular polls or the regular elections. And those people who don't want to contest regular elections or go for street politics, and they have the expertise in different fields, are provided a chance to serve their state at this platform. So we can say that this platform made available to the services of experienced persons to the state, and on the basis of this point, so many thinkers also believe that the state legislative council must not be abolished and it should exist. Rather, those states who don't have the state legislature, state legislative council, they must also have a state legislative council, because they would be able to get services of experienced persons. They would be able to give some platform to minorities and different professionals, and it will provide a barrier, a check for hasty legislation. And this also provide relief to the popular house. We mean popular house by legislative assembly. They provide a relief to the popular house by taking non-controversial issues. They could resolve non-controversial issues easily. So this will give some sort of relief to the legislative assembly. So friends, we saw the arguments in favor and in against the abolition of the legislative council. The real decision for abolition or making an legislative council rests with the state legislative assembly and the parliament, because it is the state legislative assembly that can request for establishment or abolition of legislative council through their 2/3 majority votes. And once they will make a recommendation, the parliament can create or abolish the legislative council through an ordinary law. So the actual stakeholders who have the right to establish or abolish the legislative council are state legislative assembly and the parliament, not us. But it's up to you that either you favor this legislative council or not. We provide you both versions or both arguments in favor as well as in against. Now it's your decision which side you are going to take. Thank you for joining. Take care. Goodbye.